So this is how to monetize your niche YouTube channel, part 3. But before we get into that, normal parish notices. So if you haven't subscribed, why not? Hit the subscribe icon. If you want to be notified when content like this hits the channel, that's the bell icon for you. Consider supporting the channel and becoming a member of the TMTG community. The Patreon link is down there. Also down there are the Facebook and Instagram feeds. Go tag me over there because that's where the announcements are made. But now, back to the video. In part 1 and part 2 of this series of 3 videos, we discussed how to get subscribers, or how I did it, how to get 4,000 view hours on the clock, and how I'd recommend you don't do it. And now this is the most important one. This is the third one. This is YouTube accepting your content is monetizable. What do I mean by that? Well, in order for you to monetize your content, YouTube has to be able to put adverts around your content. And in order for them to do that, your content has to meet a certain set of criteria. And that determines whether your content is monetizable and how much money you can earn from your content. So you've met the thresholds, which are 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 of view hours in the last 365 days. So you've done that, you've met those 2 thresholds. The next thing is you have to get over, are you going to be accepted for monetization? So what does that mean? If I stand over here, things will start popping up over here. So the first thing is, are you making content exclusively for children? There is a new law in the US, and YouTube being a US-based company means that they have to comply with that, and it's called the US Children's Online Privacy Protection Act, or COPPA for short. And every time you load a video onto YouTube, you will be asked whether the content is made exclusively for children or it's not made for children. Hopefully your niche channel is not, because if you make content exclusively for children, your earnings potential is going to plummet based on this new law. So just be aware of that. The next thing up on the screen over there is your content adult only? So number 1, are you making it for children? Number 2, are you making it exclusively for adults? Again, an answer to yes for over 18s only will decrease your revenue. But again, these 2 questions are asked every single time you load a video. And the next set of things I'm going to go through effectively dictate how monetizable your channel actually will be. So the next screen that comes up is, I'll start from this one, inappropriate language. Does your channel have lots of swearing on it? Now, I'm not going to swear, but you know the swear words. However, it's not quite as clear cut as you might think. So certain expletives also fall foul of some of the swear words within YouTube. So you might think something is quite innocent, but in reality somebody has deemed that to be a swear word, and some of those swear words are blasphemous that you might hear in the Bible. Okay, so I've fallen foul of this myself in terms of certain pieces of content where I've said certain words. In the UK, they mean something a little bit different to what they mean in the US. But remember, this is a US-based service. Okay, so you have to be aware of that. So the first thing is, when you put a video onto YouTube, it asks you whether it's lightly profanic, using words like hell and damn, strongly profanic, or extremely profanic. So that's the real cuss words. Okay, just be aware of that. The next section concerns adult content. Is it romantic? Does it contain kissing? Is it blurred or censored nudity? Or is it blatantly full-on nudity? Again, based on how you answer that question, dictates what adverts can run on your content. Then we move on to the next section. This is all about violence. So you have to tell YouTube, does violence occur as part of the unedited video? Is it part of edited video gameplay? Is it edited video gameplay that probably focuses on violence? So some of the gaming channels that look at things like, I don't know, Grand Theft Auto, for argument's sake, if you've got screen grabs of Grand Theft Auto, it's quite a violent game. Again, on this, you would probably be sort of saying it's probably edited video gameplay, or it's edited video gameplay that focuses on violence. But you answer that. The next one is about something called shocking content. And this is very subject-mental, I have to be honest. But is it likely or moderately to shock somebody? Is it shocking content and graphic images? Or is it highly shocking content? Accidents, injuries, that sort of thing. And again, you need to grade your video when you load it. The next one is harmful or dangerous acts. So are you showing people doing stunts? Are you showing content on people focusing on physical harm or distress? Or is it focused on accidents, pranks, stunts that involve health risks? The next one, drug-related content. Educational statements about drug-related content. Focus on the display and the effects of drug-related activities, or content showing drug abuse, etc. Next one, hateful content. References to marginalized groups. Content that may be offensive to marginalized groups, and you need to be careful on this one because some groups don't have the same moral values as you might have. Hate or discrimination toward a protected group. And the list goes on. Firearms related content. Is your content related to hunting related content or guns in a safe environment, like a shooting range? Use of guns outside a controlled environment. Content that shows gun creation or modification or promotes gun makers or sellers. That's pretty self-explanatory, I think, that one. Next one, sensitive issues. Again, another subject-mentive aspect. Are you dealing with things like modern acts of terrorism, catastrophic loss of human life, analysis or opinion of serious topical events not described above? So something to do with a current topical event that is sensitive. And put basically, when YouTube looks at your content, it is looking at all those things that you classify your video against when you load it. And the more of those boxes you tick, the less revenue you will get for your niche channel. Now, it is a counterbalance here, because your niche channel may concentrate on one of these areas, which means you may get a lot of visitors to your channel to watch your content because you contain some of these areas, but your advertising revenue is limited to a certain set of advertisers who promote that type of content or are happy to be associated with that type of content. Now, if you can tick when you load a video the box at the bottom that says none of the above, and it'll be up there, then the likelihood is you're going to have the widest range of advertisers. able to actually run adverts and monetization around your content. Now, the reason I've done this like this is because in the good old days, before YouTube did what's the word I'm looking for? Self promotion, effectively, of your content, and self certification of the types of content that you're actually putting on your channel. YouTube would have gone through this in the background. Okay, so when you hit those thresholds, you would have submitted your request to be monetized, and YouTube would have looked through your content. They have an algorithm that runs through this stuff and determined where on the scale you sat in terms of monetization, and which or which companies were willing to be associated with your content in terms of promotion. Hopefully that sort of kind of makes sense. Now YouTube asks you to self-certify and you have to tick all those boxes. You kind of understand how YouTube view your content and how they monetize it. Now, one of the things I know somebody who has done this is basically they have gone through this list and they've said, no, I don't, none of this is applicable to me. I make content that's not for children, it's not for an adult audience, and none of the other things apply. When clearly in certain circumstances, in terms of their content, some of them did apply. And you can sit there and think to yourself, yeah, YouTube are not going to know. Well, word to the wise, they do. Because A, they run algorithms over your content, is the first thing they do. And those algorithms look for things like swear words. They will look for things like pink pigmentation. And I'll give you a good example of this. A farmer with a pig farm got into real problems showing videos about his pigs. Why? Because pigs are pink and people like me are pink. Get the drift. But they do run algorithms over your content. They also audit your content on a random basis. So if you post stuff to YouTube, you could quite easily, by saying no to all of this, and then all of a sudden getting a video that is demonetized, and in fact your channel can be completely demonetized if you have answered those questions incorrectly. So not only do you have to get across the thresholds and have content suitable for advertising, and remember, YouTube is a business at the end of the day. I'd like to think it's a business for YouTubers as well, but to be honest, we don't make an awful lot of money out of this. I mean, I make enough money to buy an ice cream, but there are some tubers out there that are making serious money out of YouTube because they hit all the right marks for certain demographics, like the gaming channels, where they're showing retro consoles and the latest games and the latest hacks. And then you've got people who are just generally socially media savvy and they've set up their channels. Finance is another big one. If you have a channel that is showing lots of things about finance, they also have a lot of scams in that area as well. So you have to be really careful on that sort of stuff when you're sort of kind of looking at finance. I'm a niche channel. I said that in parts 1 and I said that in part 2. I say it in part 3 again. My channel is all about the sort of the legacy synthesizer equipment. I'm sort of sitting there looking for something around me and I can't find anything to grab. Poor planning on my behalf, that one. But looking at niche products, so I'm never going to make a fortune. But as long as the channel kind of covers a little bit of the overhead of running it, like the purchase of some new lights, etc., then I'm quite happy with that. Other people may not be, but to make sure you get the best bang for your buck, you need to make sure that the content you put on your channel allows you to say none of the above, because that's the way you get the most revenue out of the monetization. Now, I will be making some more videos not quite part of these three, but I will be making some more videos. So hopefully these 3 videos, if they've done anything, have given you food for thought, because that's what they were intended to do. They're not intended to tell you can make an actual fortune on YouTube, because I have to be honest and say most people won't. But you might make a living out of it. Until next time, live long and prosper. Bye-bye.